What's up, guys? Nate the Boss here, back with another Packer reactions video. And today I'm going to be giving you my reactions from Packers Cowboys today. It's not in the car this time because it is currently like -2 outside right now, and I'm not doing my reactions video in the car today. So there's that for you. So the Packers win 48-32. I would be a lot more exhilarated had we not given up those two garbage time touchdowns. Kind of had me a little worried there at the end. I'll get to that later on. But I will tell you this. Vegas, do not make the Packers 7.5-point underdogs again. Man, I felt like after that Darnell Savage interception, return for a touchdown, that pick six, I feel like I genuinely didn't want to admit it at the time, but I feel like we won the game right there. Because Jordan Love is just proving that he's him. He is him. I mean, like all the crazy throws being under pressure against DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, two of the best front seven players in the league. I guess you could call DeMarcus Lawrence an edge rusher and Micah Parsons an edge rusher too. I mean, that Dallas defense has a lot of talent, and Jordan Love just shredded them to pieces today. And I mean, the Packers offense, they've been electric since week 11. I'm just saying. Jordan Love's only thrown one interception since week 11. And if you gave MVPs for the second half of the season, I think Jordan Love genuinely would deserve the MVP, because that is an MVP caliber performance. And our movement of the ball, tiring down the Cowboys defense, I think that's what won us the game on the offensive side of the ball. And just feeding Aaron Jones the ball, which we haven't really done most of the year. I mean, okay, given that he's been hurt, I think Aaron Jones, he brought this offense back to life. Especially I thought he was pretty much a dead soldier come week 16. But he came back to life against the Panthers. And ever since then, he's pretty much been the rock of that offense. And you can thank the offensive line too, because they're setting up good blocks for him and just kind of containing Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. But for the passing game, it's just been phenomenal. It is just phenomenal. Jordan Love is making very unorthodox throws, jumping when he's passing. That is just Aaron Rodgers-esque and Brett Favre-esque throws. Probably an average quarterback, let's say, I'm trying to think of the teams. Justin Herbert. I don't think Justin Herbert could make a throw jumping. That is just insane how the offense performed. 48 points. That is the most points. I haven't done my research yet, but that is probably the most points we've scored since we haven't scored 48 points in a game probably since 2014. It's got to be a long time, and we did it in a very inhospitable environment. Okay, I was hearing the Go Pack Go chants on TV, and that was just incredible how the Packers fans traveled today. But so shout out to the offensive line. Sorry, the camera's shaking a little bit. I'm at my desk right now, so I'm kind of moving my hands, and the desk is kind of shaking, kind of like that. I'm just kind of fired up about this one, although I was kind of a little upset about those two touchdowns. That kind of gave me a little scare, and then my TV kind of gave out. So I was kind of getting a little nervous, was following on ESPN, and then we ultimately stopped them. But let's talk about the defense. The coverage and shutting down those the high-powered passing game of the Dallas Cowboys. Although the run game was kind of a weak spot, I mean, we got the stops when it mattered, though. Like, although we gave up that touchdown at the end of the first half, I think there were a lot of bullshit penalties and just miscues on that final drive of the first half. I was kind of a little scared for a second, but when we held them to a field goal, I felt like there was no chance Dallas comes back from this. And then Jordan Love just continued to light up the Cowboys defense and just put it more out of reach. But in the end, the defense played pretty solid, except those 2 garbage time touchdowns where we were just playing our backups and just playing prevent. Kind of a little upset about that, but I mean, this defense just, although I never really liked I mean, we did dial up a few blitzes, but I mean, I wish we would have blitzed Dak Prescott a little more. Brock Purdy is going to be one to keep in the pocket, so making sure we're blitzing him next week. And then I think, so we're playing the 49ers next week. We'll talk about where do we go from here later. But I'm trying to think about what I'm going to say. Although we had like 2 interceptions, 2, maybe 3 interceptions, I'm not 100% sure. But about Joe Barry, I mean, I still will keep the Fire Joe Barry campaign on just because of those 2 garbage time touchdowns. That kind of gave us a little bit of a scare, but I mean, it is what it is, and we still won. That's what matters. But I don't want that to carry over into next week against the Niners. And the Niners, I mean, they've been a threat since 2019. Well, 2020 they weren't really much of a threat because of the COVID year and injuries. But Kyle Shanahan has really, really shaped that team into something special. And the Christian McCaffrey trade, that was probably one of the biggest, one of the most one-sided trades I've ever seen. And McCaffrey, ever since he's joined the Niners, he's been him. But for the most part today, CeeDee Lamb was taken out of the picture, except near the end. But I think the Dallas Cowboys were playing really, really frustrated, especially when they got down big and the offense wasn't really in sync. So that kind of sucks for the Cowboys because I mean, although I genuinely like hate the Cowboys, they haven't had much success. But actually, you know what? I take that back because I have no mercy for the Cowboys. I have zero mercy. I have a good feeling that Mike McCarthy is actually going to be gone tomorrow. I have a good feeling that the Cowboys should fire Mike McCarthy because, I mean, he's pretty much bringing back replays of the Packer teams. They do pretty good in the regular season, but they don't win when it like genuinely matters. And that's one of the major flaws of the Packers in the Aaron Rodgers era. But I feel like the Jordan Love era, I think us getting like counted out, you know, being 7.5-point underdogs, I think that really motivated us. And although we did have some troubles on the road this year, we really showed up. And well, I said it last week. We were undefeated at AT&T Stadium, and we kept that trend alive. So I am very, very impressed with how we came together as a team and got it very, very out of hand for the Cowboys and making them play like they're frustrated and just kind of just running like 4 verticals every play. But anyways, I'm not trying to keep this too long because I'm going to watch the Rams and the Lions play. So where do we go from here? Well, we're going to play the Niners next week on the road. I mean, last time we played them on the road, Aaron Rodgers had that one of his last vintage moments. I would say that that game-winning field goal drive with 37 seconds and no timeouts. I mean, that was just vintage Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying. But the Niners are much more of a threat. I mean, they kind of have their guy now in Brock Purdy, although he's looked iffy at times. And then Brian Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. I mean, the Niners are a very big offensive threat. They are. And their defense, they are one of the most complete teams in football. And on paper, we didn't look very favored in that department. But the Packers, I think, were kind of back on the map after upsetting the Cowboys. And I had a feeling we could beat the Cowboys because I mean, the Cowboys have just had, we've been their Achilles heel ever since Aaron Rodgers became the starter. Hopefully that'll still stand in the coming years. But we won't play them again. Well, we might see them in the playoffs next year, but we won't play them again until 2025. 2025 for sure. But we'll have to see what happens next year. But I'm glad we actually didn't play the Eagles because they probably would have tush-pushed their way to the victory. But I think the Eagles look like a bunch of frauds, though. But we'll have to see how they play tomorrow. So I think if we win the toss next week, we receive again and try to throw haymakers at the Niners, and that's kind of what we did to the Cowboys today. And our defense has to really step up again, and they did today outside of those two garbage time touchdowns. And in the fourth quarter, and we were just getting a little too complacent. But overall, throughout most of the game, the defense played pretty well. So I don't want CMC to destroy us in their passing game. But either way, I'm actually proud of this team because hell, we were 6-8. I mean, we were 2-5, 3-6, and then 6-8. I mean, then people were counting us out, and then we rose above. And the Chargers and the Panthers, 2 games. I think those were occasions where we dodged bullets, and I think those bullets we dodged kind of worked in our favor, and the blatant pass interference penalty on Corey Ballantyne kind of saved us a little bit, and a lot of other things. But we just got to keep moving forward and just focusing on scheming against the Niners, and hopefully we can play spoiler again, and then we would either have to play one of the other 4 remaining teams left in their house. So we pretty much have to play on the road all the way to the Super Bowl. But I think now is the time to talk about maybe playing for a Super Bowl, but we just got to take it one game at a time, and then we'll get there when we get there. So that's all I got in this video, guys. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Go Pack Go.